Are there different sectors of aviation that banks are more concerned with, and other sectors that they're hot on? I mean, how are you? What sort of conversations are you having?
Yeah, it's probably even more than that. There's within sectors. There's risk profiles within sectors. So if you think about it, you look at aviation, and let's just take RPT for an example. They look, you'll have some financiers are looking at aircraft finance, either through leases or owned aircraft. You've then got financiers who are looking at the merchant, and what I mean by that is when you buy a ticket on credit card, you create a merchant risk. And the banks will generally bond that cash. That is a significant issue. You've then got the infrastructure around the airports. Airports are a very expensive asset. They make a lot of money, and generally the banks get pretty comfortable with that. And then you've got the downstream assets. So downstream businesses that need to be financed. So if you think about fuel, if you think about catering, you think about engineering, and everything that goes towards running an airport and an airline. There's so many finance streams in that. So it starts to get really complicated, not just within each of the sectors, but within each of the finance streams that contribute to it. So what the bankers are really looking for is to understand where they sit in the waterfall, if you like, and what's going to happen with that in the context of that uncertainty, specifically around the international ramp up.
David, what about you? Are there things that when the banks ask you to value, they're going to love it, and there's other ones that, I guess you're probably advising them as well, what to stay clear of? And
yeah, yes and no. I think the main thing that's an issue is that when we talk about regular passenger transport or RPT, it's basically cost per seat per mile, and it's without simplifying it, it's essentially an equation. Whereas in other sectors, the aircraft may be an actual operating entity, or they may be an adjunct to another business. And so, for example, in helicopters, if you're running a mustering organization, then the helicopter is essential to the service. But if you are an electrician that is got a group of guys and you're working out how to get across for all your regional clients, then the aircraft is just a tool of trade. And more so in helicopters than in fixed wing aircraft, helicopters are essentially a tool of trade. They're usually purchased for a mission specific purpose. So it might be for transporting oil and gas people. It might be for emergency medical transport or repatriation. It might be for search and rescue processes. There's a lot of reasons that you would buy a helicopter, and pretty much all of them are specific utilization based, whereas some other aircraft are more discretionary spends, more so in the private and the general aviation space.